Keyshawn Davis recently captured the WBO lightweight title by defeating Denys Berincyk, but despite his victory, he's no closer to landing the highly anticipated dream fights against superstars like Gervonta Davis or Vasily Lomachenko. Let's be real, a fight with Tank Davis is not in the cards for Keyshawn anytime soon, not this year, not next year, and probably not the year after that. It simply isn't happening. Instead of focusing on unrealistic matchups with these boxing legends, Keyshawn and his team at Top Rank need to face the reality of the situation. The fight that makes the most sense for him at this stage in his career is a match against the Cuban boxing prodigy Andy Cruz. Cruz, who has defeated Keyshawn 4 times in the amateurs, has been calling out Keyshawn ever since he turned professional. This is the real fight that can test Keyshawn's true ability and help him grow as a fighter. If Top Rank truly believes in Keyshawn's potential and thinks he's ready to take the next step, this is the match that will give him the chance to prove that he has evolved since his amateur days. If Keyshawn can defeat Cruz, he'll make a statement to the boxing world that he's not the same fighter who repeatedly lost to Cruz in the past. However, if Keyshawn loses again, it will raise serious questions about his future and whether he will ever live up to the hype that surrounds him. If Keyshawn were to lose to Cruz, many would start drawing comparisons between him and fighters like Edgar Berlanga, who was built up as a potential star but never quite lived up to expectations. Berlanga's career is often viewed as a cautionary tale of how a fighter can be hyped up based on flashy victories but fail to deliver when it counts. Keyshawn is at a crucial point in his career, and if he doesn't rise to the challenge against someone like Cruz, he could very well end up as just another could-have-been boxer with unrealized potential. As of now, Keyshawn has not fought any truly talented or high-caliber opponents. In his 13 professional fights, the boxers he has defeated would likely be outmatched by fighters like Abdullah Mason, Andy Cruz, and Raymond Muratalla, 3 names that would likely shine in a fight against anyone Keyshawn has fought so far. These 3 fighters would not only beat the same opponents Keyshawn has faced, but they would likely do so in more impressive fashion, further highlighting the gap between Keyshawn and the top-tier fighters in the division. Even Tank Davis's own brother, Keyshawn Davis, would probably dominate Keyshawn's past opponents. If Keyshawn, Mason, Cruz, and Muratalla were given the same competition that Keyshawn has had, it's likely they would all come out victorious. This lack of experience against truly talented opponents raises doubts about whether Keyshawn is truly ready to face the big names in the sport. By winning the WBO title, Keyshawn now finds himself among a group of many belt holders in the boxing world, but with limited options for the kinds of mega fights that would make him a star. Being a title holder without viable opponents to face can be a frustrating position, and Keyshawn is no exception. What makes his situation even more complicated is that, at 25 years old, he's still growing physically and has already started to appear more like a middleweight than a lightweight. Fighters who cut weight to stay in a lower weight class for too long often face problems as they grow older or their bodies naturally mature. While Keyshawn may be able to keep making lightweight for now, it's unrealistic to think he can continue this strategy forever. Eventually, the physical toll of weight cutting will catch up to him, and he may struggle to maintain his place in the lightweight division. If Keyshawn is truly hoping to secure that huge cash-out fight against Tank Davis, he will need to accept the reality that constantly chasing that fight and draining his body won't be a sustainable path for his career. Clout chasing and constantly talking about a potential fight with Davis is not a strategy that will help him succeed in the long term. Keyshawn needs to let go of the idea of a quick, easy payday against Tank and focus on his own development and proving his worth through his performances in the ring. Tank Davis didn't rise to the top by constantly name-dropping or calling out other fighters. He did it by consistently performing at the highest level in the ring and earning his place among the best. Davis also didn't rely on manipulating his weight to fight smaller opponents. He stayed in his own weight class and proved that he was the best in that division. He didn't make a career out of cutting weight and trying to capture belts and weight classes that were too small for him. He built his career by dominating fighters who were his size and proving that he could compete with the very best. Keyshawn, on the other hand, seems to be relying on weight manipulation and chasing big money fights without truly earning them through his performances. History has shown that fighters who attempt to manipulate their weight to stay in divisions where they don't truly belong often experience fleeting success. While it might work for a short time, it's impossible to sustain success in a weight class that is 3 divisions below your natural size. The toll it takes on a fighter's body will eventually catch up, and the success that once seemed attainable will fade away. If Keyshawn doesn't start proving himself through actual competition and stop relying on his weight to stay in lightweight, he may end up as just another fighter who couldn't make it past the early hype. As Keyshawn Davis continues to build his professional career, the pressure to prove his worth and show he's not just a product of hype grows with each passing fight. The boxing world is filled with talented athletes who have to overcome tough challenges and demonstrate their abilities against elite competition. Keyshawn may have won the WBO title, but holding a belt doesn't automatically make him a superstar. The true test of his abilities will come when he faces opponents who are at his level or higher, and that's where the fight with Andy Cruz could be a pivotal moment for his career. If Keyshawn can beat Cruz, a fighter who has already proven he can outmatch him, it would solidify his status as a legitimate contender and a fighter to watch in the lightweight division. However, if he falls short again, it will raise serious questions about his skill level and whether he's truly ready for the upper echelons of boxing. Keyshawn's situation is reminiscent of many fighters who are rushed to the top without having faced the necessary challenges to back up their status. The hype around Keyshawn has built up over time, but hype alone doesn't create lasting success in boxing. The sport is full of fighters who were once touted as the next big thing only to falter when they faced real challenges. If Keyshawn is to avoid becoming another cautionary tale, he needs to stop focusing on the names he wants to fight and start focusing on the fighters who will test him the most. He has to face opponents who can push him to his limits and help him grow as a fighter. Chasing big money fights with the likes of Tank Davis or Vasily Lomachenko may be tempting, but these are unrealistic goals at this stage of his career. To truly earn those matchups, Keyshawn has to prove he belongs in that league. The problem with weight manipulation in boxing is that it's not a sustainable strategy. Fighters who rely on draining themselves to stay in a weight class that's not natural for them often face physical and mental challenges that hinder their long-term success. Keyshawn's growing size suggests that staying at lightweight may not be feasible for much longer. While weight cutting may work in the short term, it can damage a fighter's body over time, leading to issues that can't be easily overcome. If Keyshawn continues to fight at a weight class that is too small for him, it may eventually affect his performance, and he could struggle to stay competitive. Instead of relying on these weight tactics, Keyshawn should focus on finding his natural weight class and competing there, where he can perform at his best without putting his health at risk. For Keyshawn, the road to true greatness in boxing will require much more than just holding a belt. It will take years of hard work, dedication, and facing opponents who can challenge him at the highest level. If he continues to chase names and dream about fights that are far from reality, he risks falling into the trap of being a fighter who can't live up to the hype. The real challenge for him now is to prove that he can win against the best, not just the ones who are easier to beat. If he's truly as good as his supporters say, he needs to step up to the plate, take on tough challenges like Cruz, and show that he can grow beyond the limits of his past performances. Only then will he be in a position to challenge the top fighters like Tank Davis and Lomachenko, not just for the payday, but for the opportunity to prove he truly belongs in the conversation of the sport's elite.